Hello guys, welcome to another episode of Ripster Daily Trade Recaps and Daily Teachings. Today is December 14th and another recap. So guys, after the crazy FOMC day yesterday, we were ready for today. First of all, how will I recap yesterday? I said we overnight swings, overnight IWMs, overnight SPY and Q, and everything was gapping up today for us. So anyways, we'll discuss all that. We will discuss our the all day guidance on SPY, QQQ, our huge winner on Tesla. Finally, we'll talk about MRNA long, opening long, and some swings on RIVN and Intel, how they panned out. A loser on OXY, AVGO once again, Scalp, and we'll talk about some relative weakness and the rotation that we saw in Microsoft and how it was a short. Then I'll take a look at CVNA, that idea I shared on Twitter, and how it worked out. We'll discuss that. And we'll talk about Adobe, how it really, it didn't really work out on the short side, but it did give us some B minus bounce. So we'll talk about that, guys. But anyways, just an introduction for those who are new. I just want to recap. The recap is from my community, from my guidance all day, my trade ideas in my community, or what I share on Twitter. So this here is left hand side is my all my comments from my community, although a lot of stuff I do on voice, so you won't see that, but I try to show you as much time stamped my trade ideas or guidance as possible. So anyways, I wake up every day 45 minutes before the market open. I look at bunch of news sources because I'm trying to make a watch list for my community. So I go through bunch of news sources. I go through wake up summary. Wake up summary means what's happening in the markets, futures, tech, and geopolitical, everything. Then we look at pre-market movers. We go through various news sources that I have subscribed to and which is free for my community. So I go through all the news sources. I create a list of pre-market movers and analyst notes, and I create a watch list that we can trade, and then I share my plan, and then we have these levels. So you can pause the screen, and then what you can do is you can take a screenshot, pause it, and you go back, look at how my levels pan out, right? How did this, the stocks worked relative to my levels, and a lot of these levels were spot on again yet today. Sometimes they don't, but mostly they are. So it's a good exercise. For example, when we talk about Microsoft, I'll show you. So it's good exercise to take a screenshot and work, because we work very methodically in our community. We have our fixed trading system which tells us what to do, what to long, what to short, and how to long, how to short. So we follow the repeatable setup, and this was my watch list for the day, guys. MRNA, Adobe, OXY, and then we have market indicators, and then we have market plays which work with the market. So let's start with the biggest play of the day, Tesla. So all right, guys, so you see Tesla has been sluggish for many days now. It was not doing much. If we go to a daily chart on Tesla, so what we see here, there's a nice little weekly breakout pattern which is setting up, which we might get a continuation tomorrow. So we have our price alert set there. Tesla moved 13 bucks today. So you see how it broke a support yesterday. It broke a support and then reclaimed right away. It reclaimed that level, telling us that there's a buyer, trapping the bears. So this was a bullish candle. It's kind of a hammer, but you can see how bullish this candle is. So of course Tesla was on focus. It's been a while that Tesla has run. So today, this morning, as soon as I saw the strength, simple rules, as soon as I saw the strength, while the other stocks were not doing much, Tesla was starting to push. So Tesla started to push, and that's when I noticed. So let me show you. So before I go to the chat, so as you see, as soon as the market was opening, and I said I took a starter, right? So I always take a starter when it starts to break out. we add into it. And we tried to do the same thing the other day. It didn't work, and then we stopped out and we shorted it. But when you see this breaking out, and not only this, guys, there was so much flow coming in, so much flow coming in. So I told people 245 calls are not really bad. You can trade them. You can see I bought them at 270s, 288s. These ended up going 200% gains, although I took most of profits on 120, 30%. But you see how Tesla started to push, right, versus 242, 245, and then it was all about the guidance that I was giving in the community on this setup, right? So I already explained the daily setup to you. So you can see when I was talking about the crazy flow on 255s coming in, and then I sold my 245 calls for nice little gain. You see how my screenshots are showing 41%, 52%, right? And we keep going for our next next point. So that was our first move, initial move. 250 was my first target. We met that target, then it pulled back. So then it pulled back, then it held this 512 Ripster EMA Cloud. So what are my cloud rules? If you do not know, go to my website, study Ripster Education, Ripster Clouds Explained, or you can Google, YouTube. There's a lot of videos by other traders on my EMA Cloud system. You will find them. So you see Tesla never broke that trend. Tesla held that trend. And then there's a lot of flow on 255. I already talked about the flow on 255, and then Win comes in. You look, he says dips versus 246. So he saw this buying. You can clearly see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 candles. So there's a buyers there, guys. There is a buyer there. So you buy, so versus that, and then it breaks the flag and boom, right? And it goes to a 250 psychological breakout again. And then my target was 255, but nevertheless, we hit 254 almost, then it pulled back. And this today this was one trade which every whole day we were profitable. Everybody was long and green on Tesla, right? So this is how you execute. You stay on the top of it. There was no reason to stop out fully until this 512 broke here. You see, there was no reason to get out. 512 was still holding. You add first, and then you add on this dip. When I alerted or I guided in the morning, and then you also have a midday trade. And even if you were in the mornings, you always keep some. I kept saying use profits to roll into next strike. Use profits to roll into next strike. And then it, then I said when it was finally breaking 250, I said you need to take the risk. But look here, even then it did not bounce. It did not fade 3450. It bounced 3450. It still held the overall bullish trend. So guys, this was the beast trade. So if you learn something from that, learn that how we traded the trend. Look at the longer term picture. Zoom out. Do not get stuck in one day. So you can clearly see we were short this day. We were short this day. We were long and then we were short this day. What is the difference today? Clouds can clearly tell you the difference. 1, 2, 3. You can clearly see the difference. When the trend changed, you can clearly see the difference, guys. Flag over the EMA Clouds, you see that. Look at them. This is what you need to understand, that I keep telling again and again and again. All right, guys, that was a beautiful trade, made our day in the community. Let's go to the next one. So next one, guys, is MRNA. MRNA was pretty straightforward, guys. Trade for us today. MRNA was gapping up. There was a bullish news. I shared the news in the pre-market. Then all the plan in MRNA was simply to identify your risk levels and trade long, right? So what was the risk level, right? So risk level was 84. I gave you that. 82, it's a little wider. I didn't really want to have that. And then 89 was breakout. I gave all the plan pre-market that this is what our risk levels are. And the moment I see this swipe candle, that's when I took the position. I can go to 2 minutes, so give you a better idea. So that's when I took the position, and I said scalp long 933. It was right here, this candle 933, 88.30, and then it broke out of 89. When it did that, I added more. That's a flag breakout. My target was 92. As simple as that. We hit our first target and even gave us more, 94. If you were fast enough, you took some profit there as well. And then it finally, when it came back, and I was all out of it. right? This was, I mean, it was a good trade, right? So you add, even if you added at 89, you still got 92. At least you got $3 per share on that move. Even if you did not get, I don't know how much the options moved, I was in the shares, even though you did not get all the 4 points or till 95. You see, high was 94, 93. If you are in a bracket order or something, you would have filled there as well. So this is an example of the trade, the open trade that I often discuss in my webinars. Stress-free and easily worked out. And only thing I didn't do was I didn't short it after it really broke down, right? Of course, it was over 34.50, but when it was failing here, I could have shorted it and then failed the previous lows, another short, and easily could have shorted to 83. I mean, $3-4 were given on this short, but anyways, that's fine. You can clearly see the system, how the system defines your bias, and we can see how we did the trade in the long. So that was good on long on 3 points, 4 points worth of there. All right, guys, let's go to the next one. So RIVN, guys, RIVN is our current swing. As I have been talking about this swing on RIVN, let's go back to the chart here. When I said that RIVN is the swing 18, so 18 breakout was the swing, never really closed under the 50 EMA cloud on daily. So, and I was and it was a swing, and it was basically moving with I was bullish. I mean, I was bullish on the RIVN, and it was moving with Tesla. And then I said bullish today versus the clouds. So versus the clouds, you take long, wherever you take long pre-market high, even if you take long 2063s, you have a clear defined risk of 2015s, you risk 50 cents, right? If you miss the first big move into 10 a.m., then watch the pullback to this retest of this breakout, take another position, use the same risk, and you still got 22.54. Even for a day trading wise, right? It's swing which is up $5, and then day trading wise, you could have easily made one risk to 4 or 3 reward, at least 3 reward. Risking 60 cents, you could have made $1.80. And of course, almost 70-80% on the option side, option strike, whichever you took. All right, guys, let's go to the next one. So let's look at this OXY. OXY, I was interested in pullbacks to long it, right? So I was interested to pull back along it. I thought it will give us a better pullback. And when it was pulling right here, in this area, I saw it bouncing. And then I did try to trade it versus this EMA clouds. And then it pulled again, and it held that level, and then it pushed again. And then it finally broke this level. I knew it's not going to work. And then it pulled back, and then because it was such a small DTR, it's not a huge risk. Maybe I lost like 40-50 cents here, but that's fine. I took my loss and I was out. And OXY never really worked out for me. This small ATR stocks is not always best for me. But anyways, that was the idea in community to long it. Did not work. We took our loss, moved on. Better trades elsewhere. So another day, guys, another day and another AVGO win. So AVGO, I said you can scalp lotos on 1100 breakout. I mean, AVGO lotos in the morning, they went from, let's see how much did they go. They did go as far as, for example, the lotto for 1130, which was like $2 at open. That by the time it hit our target, it hit $7, right? Even if you missed that, even without that, you could have easily added at like $3 or $4 and sold it into double 100% at $6. So you see the first move on AVGO. I said you can scalp the lotto. 120 was my initial target. Even just to give you example of 1130 lotos, I encourage everyone to find their own options. But if they ask me, I'll let them know, because I don't try to spoon feed some of these things, but I always, of course, I will tell them. But the point is, when you decide what you're trading, you do much better. You understand how it moves. So anyways, the point was 1130. So if I want to show you, okay, let me actually show you the chart of that option. Let's just take a look at 1130 option, right? So you look at this 1130 option, and you can see here that it started from 260, 230, went all the way to $8.04, right? And then even later in the day it hit like $6, so you could easily traded that options, you know. It's for this AVGO move for at least 100%. So that's the fun of trading lotos, right? You can easily risk everything if you want to. I mean, ideally your risk was that under clouds or 1100, but again AVGO was you know, was a decent scalp this morning. Let's go to the next one. So Microsoft basically, you know, as soon as the market opened, like I do every day, I'm on the voice. Let's first look at the levels, right? So what levels I gave. So as soon as the market opened, so Microsoft broke this level, 373.90, 373 pivot. So I mean, it was weak, right? Under the clouds, you showed it right at the open, and then you just see how it acts. Under all the pivots, you showed it under yesterday lows, and look what I said at 10 a.m. Of course, I said that Microsoft is weak. I tweeted about it in the morning as well. Right at the open, I said Microsoft is weak. And I said it's still heavy. Still heavy. Hold your puts. That I said at 10 a.m. And from 10 a.m., the Microsoft went to from 370 all the way to 364. So you see that, right? And if you want to see how much the options moved, let me just show you the options put flow. So we can look at, let's because I try to stay in the closer the money puts, you know. So we can look at 370 puts. Let's for fun's sake, let's look at 372 puts, 370 puts, right? So 370 puts, just for today, if I look at 10-minute chart, let's just look at oh, there you go, 10-minute charts. Okay, so Microsoft, so let's close this. 370 puts, even if you got it at 10 a.m., let's say you did not get it at right at open, even after that it ran from 240 all the way to $6. So this showed, you know, I mean, even with one option you went 100%, 200%. So that is the power of the setups for you option traders. And even on the shares, from it was weak in the morning and it was still there, it was a short $4, $5 or $6 per share short even after 10 a.m. trend time, even if you missed this morning trade. So yeah, Microsoft was a short idea. So next one was, guys, APLS. It was bearish bias. So I said bearish bias on the pops. It under 50 can fade a bit more, and if it holds 50, 53 is cautious. So two levels I gave was 50 and 53. You know, as soon as the market opened, I said good short, room to 50, and you see it faded all the way to 46.29. From the morning short of 53 faded to 46.29. Here is your bear flag. You see the bear flag setup, faded 29, and then it pushed to and that's where I exited later, end of the day, when it pushed over 512 EMA Clouds. Easy setup, guys. Gap down, pre-market breakdown, 50 psychological breakdown, riding the 512 EMA Clouds. Nothing special about this one. It's just easy, simple, stress-free, repeatable setup that I teach you guys every day. So that was, guys, APLS. Let's go to the next one. So let's look at our IWM trade now, guys. This morning IWM was my focus because yields were weak, and I gave a trade at open. I said long it. I said it in first 4 minutes. I said long it, room to 200. So 200 was my initial target, and as you see, we hit right at 200, and that's where we rejected. So you were supposed to take profit right at 200. So that's where you were supposed to take your first profit of the day on that 200 level where it hit, right? So that was, and then I said, also talked about SMCI, that SMCI will go with IWM. So if IWM is long, SMCI is a long, because SMCI is the main play with the IWM. And you see IWM as well went from, if you want to see my levels that I gave, my level on SMCI was it was 279. That was the pivot I gave. So it broke the 279 and hit 288, and by end of the day it hit 296. So you clearly see the correlation. You clearly see the correlation between the these charts and these levels and these indices, right? IWM is a part of IWM. Sorry, SMCI is a part of IWM. So you know that's why I said it will go with IWM. So that's why I said SMCI long as well. So you clearly see that example here, how SMCI went and how IWM went. IWM rejected from 200, SMCI also rejected, but SMCI held the 512 EMA trend and pushed higher. And so did IWM. It held that 512, I mean, not that convincingly, but and then it pushed again. You could have used the same level to trade that one again. So now 200 is the next breakout. So beautiful trade on IW. So guys, on Intel there is nothing much, just a recap that there is an event today that I will take off, and that's what I did. Don't hold into the event. Our catalyst run for Intel was simply from last week, from versus 42s to today into 47, and that's where I took all off. And as I told you, sell the event news, right? Sell the event news was right there. So yeah, so important lesson to learn here is the sell the news, right? I have been sharing this lesson with you guys on many trades. Before that it was IWM, no, sorry, Tesla. So let's look at Adobe. So Adobe, guys, the plan was simple. I said only long over 600, short under 600. There's some support at 584. We will see if it bounces, right? And then right away it was fading, right? It faded from all the way from the open. It faded to 580 right there. So if you took, wherever you short it, your risk was a little higher. And then it was nice fade into that area, and then it was starting to bounce it and making higher lows. Then I said, because risk is 600, frankly, you cannot short anywhere you short, risk is 600, so you are taking that risk, right? So personally, since I missed that, then I was not interested, because the higher lows, it was holding this up. And then it rejected 512, but it was not following under it. It was still there. So then I saw the high. Then I came in, I said it's 512 curling. Then I saw the curl. I said B minus push. 482 is key risk level, or 478, which is a little wide, and then you can probably trade the push over. And then it started to move over 512. I told everybody to move the stops to 485, and it did push to 592s. It decently pushed 5-6 points for everyone, but then it rejected, right? I said, let's see if we can push through 3450. It rejected, and then I said, lock the profit, leave it alone. It's still a bearish, right? So that's why they are B minus setups. This is the reason they are B minus setup, because they never turn bullish. So you short them and you leave them. All right. So let's look at CVNA. So if I look at CVNA, this was my, I gave this setup. When I gave this setup, I think I showed you guys yesterday, I said, we put our price alerts there. We put our price alerts here at 40, 48, 42 and started to push since yesterday. Now ideal target is this 57.20 area. We'll see if we meet it or not. And so CVN has been running just like our other plays, U and UPSD, that I've been discussing all the time. Because if I show you, this has been the market. So this has been the market. If you want to see here, so if you look here, those are all our swings from our community, which has been going crazy. Everybody feels genius in the bull market, but the point is you need to understand the setup. For example, in this case, CVNA was a clear pattern. This pattern resistance breakout, you can call it whatever you want to, cup and handle, inverse head and shoulder, whatever, right? It just has to appeal to your eyes that something is setting up. So that was CVNA, guys. Let's go to the next one. So guys, let's now look at quickly SPY and QQQ and see how was SPY QQQ for us today. So guys, for SPY initially in this morning, you know, it was a gap up, then it was a gap up, then it was rejecting the highs. If you see my levels that I give, you know, let's look at my levels. So levels I gave 471.20, 470.50 and 473.55, and QQQ was 406, 408.71. So they never got over my levels. 473.53 never, and you know, and QQQ my level was a 406 area. They never got over it, right? And that when this was a resistance and they pulled back, even though I was not bearish because it was still over the clouds and it was going like bouncing. And when this, I was long actually, so I was talking about to stay long on that bounce. So I was guiding everyone the long on this bounce, but you see the same area was still giving the resistance. You see same resistance again and again, same resistance, and then it broke 512, then broke 34.50, and then I in the gap, then I scalped some short. You can see good fades, you know, if you go to our SPY and SPX room. So everybody was short and doing good on the shorts. So you know, there was and then it bounced as well. So let's see. Yeah, so I'm just trying to show you some of the SPX options. You can see how they're up 20%, 50%, 60%. So that was the setup. Repeatable gap fill setup. Same for QQQ short. So that's a nice volatility, guys, and that's what I was teaching everyone with the system, right? If it's bearish, we know we turn bearish, we make money on being bearish. If system tells bullish, we stay bullish, we make money on staying bullish. So that was it, guys. Another decent day, fun day. So if you want to trade with us, come join my community. Link is in the bio and up on the top. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Thank you.